Alrighty, viewers, before we start our podcast today, something we're going to be implementing each week on the Sunday Reaction Pod is going to be highlighting the winner and the loser out of the three of us on the podcast each week. The winner will get the joy of wearing the Krispy Kreme hat, and the loser must don the Centrelink hat. So,
in the dream.
In the next 5 seconds, can the recipients of each please grab each hat and put it on your head? Started the year off the right way. It's a dub for Team Booner Stallions. And with that, let's get into the podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the SC Blueprint podcast. Dan, how'd you go this week? Give us the update.
Majestically, mate. Now, let's just also say, firstly, we literally did just get ghost points updates in the last few seconds. So these scores are correct as of 7:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Sunday night, we should know.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
So I got 1286 for the week, which honestly I'm pretty content with. I've seen lots of people in the 1300s, the 1400s. I'm not too worried. It's 1 week. We'll see how we go. You right there, buddy?
Just choking on some water.
Let's leave this in. This is great footage.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Absolutely.
Highlights of my week. Catchman did really well. Obviously, everyone has Latrell. That's a bit boring. Herbie, who honestly by the end was a little bit of an antipod, or at least he was an antipod on this table, with a solid 75 to get me over the line. Is there any other notable highlights in this team? I mean, the boy Stefano doing the thing for all three of us, getting a rock solid 65 in only 15 minutes. Sanders was probably my big highlight, actually. Started him, got 94 from him. So yeah, pretty happy with my week. Obviously, again, early days, no reason to panic either way, but a very good start to the Booner Stallion season.
Very nice. And Ben, do you want to fill us in with how yours ran down?
Yeah, look, I'm pretty content. I'm currently 1284, so 2 points behind Daniel. I should note,
Miles back.
Should note as well that there's not a lot of points difference between the three of us or even our consensus team this week. It's all within 20 points, which is pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, pretty good week for me. I took a couple of gambles on some players. Some paid off, some didn't. Yeah, look, I was quite content. I think there were some big scores out there, but you know what? There were some people that scored really well this week. I think you two would feel the same about this as well, that aren't going to do that every week, and I'm not too disappointed to not own them. Is Sewer going to get 100 every week? I'm pretty sure he was on about 20 or 30 before the last 20 minutes or something
like that.
So, yeah. Look, you know what? Fair play to the people that went for him, but yeah, not for me. I guess my two letdowns, if I can say they're letdowns, Pat Carrigan and Casey McLean. Thought I was getting two pretty nice pods there. Carrigan got 52, didn't play the 80-minute role. Payne Haas played that instead. Not a big concern. He did make 32 tackles in the first half, so I can understand the fatigue there. But, yeah, look, for me, a little bit of disappointing there. And Casey McLean, 38 with a try. Broncos just did not get to a kick all night. Too many errors, and so there was no work to do out of the back. No line break on the try. I don't know. I think he'll bounce back, but yeah, a little bit disappointing in the start there. But I did get away with playing 4 cheapies this week, so I'm very happy. And I picked the best of them. Sat Faimani for that. Got away with Leo. Obviously, Setu 2 from Vegas and Chester as well. Honestly, a lot of points on my bench was a bit disappointing. Sanders obviously popped off, sitting on my bench. Joe Chan sitting on my bench. Arama Howe, 57, sitting on my bench. But look, overall, I was quite happy. How about yourself, Elliot?
Yeah, so I went 1277, so I think only the 9 point separator.
What's the weather like down there? Bloody hell.
Yeah, so I was the loser for this week. It's obviously not going to stay that way. I think Dan might come crashing down next week.
Well,
if Cody Walker stays on his blinder status. So, yeah, that was definitely the highlight for me. I didn't get to watch all of the game, but, you know, I got to see a couple highlights. So I was quite happy that Cody Walker came in with his 104, quite clutch for me. Obviously, Trell's pretty highly owned, so 113's, you know, everyone gets that. But Cobbo, 54, about his break even. So in the wet, I to be honest, I wasn't too dissatisfied with that. I thought that's fine, good enough result to go away. I was a little bit worried, I can't lie, when the rain was coming in. I opted to play Flegler for his 47. Not very good. I think he played maybe about 46 minutes, 40-ish minutes. So, yep, not very good at all. Point a minute, though. If that increases, hopefully it'll be a better output for Fleggy. Yeah, looking through, Bo Fermor was my other sort of potty option I was going for. I was hoping he was going to get the kicking tee there, but soon, with multiple refreshes of the NRL app, yeah, that wasn't even going to even if it did happen, it wouldn't have even like helped. So yeah,
Sam Walker as well, bit of a tough game.
Sam Walker, a bit of a tough game. I was actually quite happy he got to a 54 in the end. I was checking his score a lot through that because I went out to the Broncos v Panthers game. You would have seen as I put up a couple stories about getting a veggie burger instead of a chicken burger. That was a sad time. Obviously followed by the tough defeat. But yeah, Sam Walker, he was on some pretty low points. I think he didn't get a couple of assists in the new system, which is how the cookie crumbles, I guess. But 54, I actually wasn't too sad with it. Warriors away, bit of a tough fixture. So yeah, that is about it for me, I think, in terms of highlights. But yeah, on to next week, eh?
Cool. And the real big winner of the week was the consensus team, boys, which, I mean, I think it just shows that combined we're just geniuses. 1307 for the consensus team, which is pretty good. The real winners, we did go with Sewer, even though Ben was just poo-pooing on him a little bit. We did go with Sewer in that team. And we also went with Keon, who, big performance from Keon today, earned himself a 77. Those are the main points of difference in that team. So yeah, good to see us flying off the right foot on that team as well.
In saying that, though, we did have some players that didn't fire. We should note that as well. Obviously, the Casey McLean play. Did we? Yeah. I'm struggling.
No, he's in there. He's in there.
But yes, Casey McLean and Gemmet Shibasaki.
Oh, yeah.
Dropped out with the 26.
Ooh.
That was a tough watch for me.
Big bounce back week from Gamma. Let's hope so anyway.
But yeah, look, other than that, players on our bench did pretty well. And some easy trades to sort of turn that team around. I think 1,300, you'd be really happy with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's a great start to the year for all three of us.
Absolutely.
All right,
Awesome.
hats off for the week, mate. Make sure you don't, get that hat again next week or we might have to laugh at you again, okay?
No, it's not happening, mate. It's not happening.
Trust. Right here, guys. We're just going to get into our normal resume schedule of breaking down each game, talking about the relevant Supercoach players, the overperformers, the underperformers, and everything in between. Starting off Thursday night, Storm 52 beat Parramatta 4, knocking them out of premiership contention already. Great start to the year, Para fans. I'm going to start today, gentlemen, by talking about Suafailonga. As Ben said, he was on about 20 points. I think at halftime he was on 20. It was something like that. And then absolutely exploded at the back end of the game. 2 tries, 1 assist, 4 line break assists, and 23 points in runs. So still not a terrible base there from Sua. Looked like an absolute live wire.
Yeah, look, I was eating my words. I thought the Eels were going to be good this year, and they put in one of the all-time performances, if you can call it that. Look, my hate around Sua is probably not justified. I just think you've got to accept that there's going to be really good weeks like this when the Melbourne Storm explode, and there's going to be some not-so-great weeks when the Melbourne Storm don't do very well. He wasn't as involved as I'd like to see in the attack, but in saying that, he was on the end of a lot of receiving with the tries and the assists. Obviously, the 4 line break assists as well is pretty strong performance, but didn't play as much of that sweeping role as I thought maybe. Kind of got involved through the middle almost, sometimes taking interesting hit-ups at random points. There was no consistency to it, but I think that's the sort of player he is, has a good read on the game and played pretty well.
Yeah.
Personally, I just think he punished a poor Para showing, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think he's going to struggle when defenses actually sort of tighten up. Like, if he versus that Penrith team, I don't think he gets higher than like a 30 or a 40, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think it's a very interesting game against this Dragons middle this week because they're not going to let tries leak through the middle, I don't reckon anyway. They were much more solid.
Yeah, to be honest, I agree. And then you look at the 2 tries where he got, obviously, the one late in the second half. I think he was just a breakthrough by a couple people. I think he assisted the line break, so to be fair, Para was kind of crumbling a bit. But then he just followed it up and Munster had a dubious sort of offload out the back and he just scores. But then his first one was just like a chip and chase to himself. He might, he's going to pull that out of the bag, that sort of a play. But in terms of like structure and just accumulating good attacking stats, I'm not sure if that's really going to be there for Sua. And it only takes that ball to take an odd bounce, and then that's just an error. Because it's a 7-tackle set. So for me, I'm not really too worried.
Yeah. Who wants to rip in with the next player?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Moses Leo, my boy. I did a little bit of rejigging after the Vegas games and managed to get him in. Kind of got away with playing him. He looked brilliant. 1 try and 3 line breaks, 33 in base, which I was pretty impressed in. Also just in the right centre spot for me. Playing outside Munster is going to do him a world of good. On the other side of the field, there was a lot of cutout balls being thrown, which I didn't mind. So, look, it was an interesting one for me. I think he was a strong option, and I think he'll be good for weeks to come. Looks like he's going to take that spot and make it his own, which is awesome because there was a bit of uncertainty around him holding that spot. But yeah, great play from me. Played really well.
Yeah.
Cool. No, I don't have Moses Leo, but looked fairly strong there. Obviously, same game. It's going to be hard to tell in a blowout, but I'm sure he'll run some strong lines and yeah.
Definitely. All right, gentlemen, it's our time to shine. Stefano Utoikamano, a strong 65 in only 15 minutes for Big Stefano. 47 in base, 12 in power, and he got that line break where he just literally ran through the middle of Parramatta, who'd basically given up at that stage. Very impressive showing from Stefano in what really I think is probably his floor for minutes. I think if he's going to be a big part of this Melbourne forward pack, which I'm not too worried about, he's going to be getting 55, 60, 65 minutes pretty easily. So yeah, very impressive showing from Stefano.
Initially, I was a little bit worried with the Alec McDonald going off. I thought that meant that Stefano would play more minutes, and then I realised that obviously they just subbed him in through the concussion sub. So I'm not worried about Stefano. I thought that was a very good showing, and hopefully the minutes do increase.
100%.
Maybe I had a bit of a different read of the game, but I was maybe not quite as impressed as you lads. If you take the line break away, 55, that line break was stupid. He's not going to do that every week. Obviously, probably his try-scoring threat, which is his credit. He'll get some weeks where he scores a solid 80 or 90 maybe, but for me, the fear was just I didn't really see him break many tackles. Didn't see him offload the ball very much. Of his 55 without the line break, 47 of that was in hit-ups and tackles. So only the 8 extra points coming from offloads, tackle breaks.
No, so he had a couple negatives because of like penalties or whatever. 12 in power is still okay, I think.
Okay. I just think he's a higher ceiling player than that. I think as the game depends, he will turn up more, definitely. There wasn't a lot doing that game. He didn't really need to do a lot. I'm hoping when he plays a better opposition, he probably pulls the offload out a bit more, breaks a couple more tackles. Wasn't bad by any means, but I think he could do better.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, let's talk about them together. The edge back rowers. We said they both had red flags. Turned out they both kind of exploded onto the scene. 87 for Chan, 88 for Lasardi, and both with a try. I was pretty impressed by both of them. I still think it's up in the air who's going to hold both those spots, what's going to happen with Sean Bloor, if something's going to go on with Trent Liera and that's going to move some things around. I think there's still a lot up in the air there, but they definitely both played very well, and if you started with them, I think you're looking pretty solid at the moment.
Yeah, I just guess if or when Sean Bloor does come back, that's just kind of the worry of like who drops out, who loses out on minutes there. Do they both lose out on minutes? Does Lasardi come off the bench? Does Chan come off for Lasardi? But that's just kind of the worry for me. I think, but otherwise, if you can assure yourself that they're going to have good job security, either one of them is great, or if not both, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think Chan's the better option for me. Lasardi got a lot of points in the end, but a lot of those came as the Eels sort of fell apart. Chan sort of broke the game open for him. He was scoring at that point where it was just a bit past locked up, really opened the floodgates. Looked a better player, 67 in base versus 48. Lasardi with 2 line breaks compared to Chan's 1. I just think Chan's the better player there for that game, and I think he'll hold the spot. In my eyes, he will hold that right edge if Sean Bloor does come back. So I've got him in my team. Quite happy I've got him. You can get both. I just think there's better options. Your Noah Martins and your Ryan Couchmans, who are probably more of a chance of holding a great spot than Lasardi.
Cool. Any other Melbourne players to chat about? Anybody?
Munster 80-odd in a 50-0. I thought it's not 50-0, but 50-point walloping.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, good from Munster. All right, Parramatta. We won't spend too much time on them because not as many relevant points. The middles, DeBellin and Hopgood, both played around that 15-minute mark, bearing as mine as well. Hopgood was sent to the bin. Both just base monsters. Hopgood got 58 points in base. DeBellin 53 points in base. I think they're both not ridiculous options to have a look at. I think you give it a little bit more time, and I think there's a small chance they go down a little bit based on that sin bin. But I was pretty impressed by what I saw. I think they're going to be the main guys in the pack, and I don't think they're ridiculous options.
I don't really have anything to add there. I think you've summed it up nicely. Yeah, both looked good.
I can't lie. I was just pretty impressed with seeing Hopgood get up to a 50 after being sin bin.
Yeah,
I think there's a little bit of value there.
I agree. All right, who wants to have a crack at Iongi?
Yeah, I'll have a crack. I was keen on him in the preseason, the scoring change, I guess. Just same old Iongi.
Yeah,
good base, tackle breaks. Obviously the 1 try assist as well. look, he's going to be good. He's going to be one of their main men there. Was the best in a losing side that got absolutely destroyed. 67 is really strong if that's kind of a flaw. I'd expect him to probably get a try or try assist pretty much every week. Look, he looked good. I just think there's better fullbacks at that price at the moment.
Yeah, probably fair. I was just impressed by how much he scored considering how little he did.
Yeah, I probably tend to agree. In a 50-point walloping, he did fairly well. He looked pretty electric, and it's just for me, it's just the nature of how he's kind of putting on the assists and whatnot. Obviously, in the trial, he had that kick to Simonson or whatever, and then that bat on to old mate Sean Russell.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, I just think his create there is just a lot of upside, especially if Para get going a bit more. Yeah,
Definitely agree. Oh, do you have something?
No, you're fine, sorry.
I was just going to say I don't think there's anything more to add on that game.
Yeah, moving
Warriors Roosters. Warriors beat the Roosters 42-18. A pretty dominant performance from the Warriors in New Zealand, led by Tanner Boyd. Didn't think I'd be saying that. 131 for Tanner Boyd. Just a very well-rounded performance. 1 try, 2 assists, 3 try contributions, 7 goals, a line break, and 2 line break assists. Basically every single score and create category you could possibly imagine. Tanner Boyd covered it. I don't think he's worth a look. I think it was an impressive performance. But if you told me he was going to do that again in the next few weeks, I would be absolutely amazed.
Yeah, I'll put the hand up. I was unfamiliar with Tanner Boyd's game, but not a strong buy for me either. I think he looked brilliant, but I just don't think there's a consistency with him or the Warriors, really. He looked the goods, but I don't know. I personally won't be going for him, but if you want him as a bit of a pod, let's do it. Why not?
Yeah, don't think there's much more to say,
Cool.
to be honest, on Tanner.
The only other one I flagged from the Warriors, you guys might have some more, but I flagged Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Now, this is a bit of an unconventional Roger game. 2 assists, no tries, 2 line breaks, 1 assist, and 35 base. I thought it was a pretty solid showing from Roger. I know he hasn't been talked about all preseason. Obviously a winger when we've all been focusing on centres. But I think it was pretty good. If the Warriors are going to be as good as they have been in New Zealand and keep scoring tries and keep being around, like Roger's always involved when good things are happening. So I think he's definitely worth it. Does anyone have Roger's price nearby? I feel like he's pretty expensive. I think it
He's
might
pretty
be
expensive. It's like mid-600K.
mid-sixes. I think it's something around there. So I think if he can maintain this level, though, he's definitely worth it. I don't see a reason. Like Casey McLean's a pretty similar price, and he got a 1 try 38. So I think it's good from Roger.
670 for Roger.
670, cool. Yeah.
I guess my thing for Roger, 2 assists. I don't think that's going to happen very consistently, but did look the goods. 35 in base, a little bit less than I am used to from him specifically, but I think that was the nature of the game. There was obviously 60 points scored, so I'm not too worried about that. The only other player I had to talk about, just quickly, you can go back to Roger in a second, was just Aaron Clark, more of an eye test, but I tell you what, he was running the ball hard. I was watching him and I was thoroughly impressed. I don't think he's a Supercoach option at the moment, but if he ever dropped price for an injury or a head knock or anything like that, he'd be a great buy.
Yeah, just the 47 from Aaron Clark. I'm not sure exactly how many minutes he plays. I can whip that up quickly.
I don't really see Aaron Clark to be an option unless something changes in those middles or forward pack.
53 minutes for Aaron Clark.
Yeah.
Way down on last year.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, I think you'd need an injury, but I think there's power to be had there. He ran the ball hard against a pretty good Roosters pack. So if there's ever a week against some weaker middles, then you never know, might have a day out.
Valid. Any more Warriors?
Laban.
Oh, yeah. Ouch. I think we all swerved that bullet, correct?
We swerved it. I was highly considering it at one point, but I nearly went him over Howe, I think it was, because I just thought that it might have a good minute sort of output there for Laban. But yeah, that looked shocking. Lecker kind of just came on and he got, what did he get in the end? 30?
21.
Yeah, so that is lower than his price.
In 46 minutes as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like something went wrong and he got subbed after half an hour. 21 points in 46 minutes is ridiculously bad.
Yeah.
Not good.
Swerve.
Anyway, a bit of a trap there, but yeah.
I will say though, this is the flip side of the discussion around Chandler Sardi while we were saying the red flags were up. Sure, your Chandler and Lee Sardis and all that delivered, but like, this is the other side where if it goes wrong, you're going to get your Jacob Laban kind of level where you're going to be wishing, I wish I don't have these blokes. So I would still advertise caution.
Yeah, I guess my rebuttal to your point about them splitting minutes is the Storm don't really have the ability to do that just with how their middles are set up. So if someone could kindly pull up the minutes from the Warriors game, I'm pretty sure Jackson Ford played 70 minutes and Fisher Harris played 60?
50.
50? Who else played minutes off the bench then?
Vimalgo played 27, Halasima 35, Stower Smith 40.
40. So I just don't expect that from the Storm themselves. I
Maybe.
don't think there's a 70-minute player. Even as good as Stefano is, I don't think he's playing 70, bro. He's not that fit.
No, probably not.
So, yeah, I think my rebuttal to that is they'll probably have to take 3 medals and then Wishart.
Sure.
Looked really good at lock. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I
All
don't
right. Warriors done. Roosters. I'm going to start with Tedesco. Pretty impressive performance from Teddy. We all said fullbacks were dead, and then fullbacks basically ran the weekend. So that didn't go well. 92 from Tedesco, pretty complete performance. A try, an assist, 30 points in power, which is really up there, and just a solid 25 in base with a line break. Honestly, just a pretty typical Tedesco performance.
Yeah. I was pretty impressed. I mean, you know what you're getting with Teddy. I just think it's not the best use of money this year, but...
If you want someone just rock solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in a rush to trade him in if you don't have him. But if you have him, then I don't think you need to sell him for any reason.
Yeah, I think you're laughing.
He's absolutely fine. Obviously, the try with the 1 assist, you know what, that could easily be 2 assists rather than 1 and 1. Or some weeks you might even get 2 and 1 or 3 assists and 1 try. I think there's great room to go up from there. I don't think he'll go too much lower than that. Hell of a lot of tackle breaks, I noticed. It must have just been bumping off tackles.
That's what he does.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty rock solid performance from him.
Cool. You want to talk about your... Oh, sorry.
Well, sorry, I just wanted to bring up the point, I guess, that or even just we already talked about how like that fullback with the cutout ball is not necessarily as dead as we might have thought some other ones were, and I think he's obviously still going to be relevant for that point. I'm not sure if he showcased it that much in that game, but obviously just his following up the middle, his tackle breaks, I think it's all still there for Teddy, and obviously for a rock solid standpoint, I don't think you can really go wrong.
Valid.
No sell.
Valid.
Maybe not a buy, but yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about your boy Sammy Walker?
Well, I didn't watch all the game, but I can talk from, I guess, an emotional standpoint. I was quite stressing a little bit when he was on about 35 for most of the game, or even lower in the 20s. But I think there's going to be better games for Sam Walker. I think it is a tougher fixture for the halves going over to a Warriors away, especially if the penalties start swinging that way. But yeah, I'm not too worried. I think a couple of his attacking kicks I saw from the highlight reel was diffused pretty well. So I'm sure, I'm pretty confident that'll bump up in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I think just the fact that he still managed to get 54 with all he did was a try contribution, 3 goals, 3 forced dropouts, which in fairness is quite a lot, and a line break assist. It's very little attacking output for a player who has so much more in the tank.
Yeah.
So I'd be feeling pretty comfortable with Sam Walker. If that's basically his floor, is like a low 50s, wheels up, he's going to be a really good buy, I reckon.
Absolutely. Bit unlucky now that I've watched the Cody Walker try assist to not get a try assist for that Billy Smith
I
one.
still don't understand that.
Yeah, I was
It's
fuming.
up in the air with what's going on. I think neither should be a try assist,
I agree.
but I don't think you can give one.
You've got to give both if you do.
100% agree.
Yeah, so, look, he'll have really good weeks if that's his floor, similar to what you said, Dan.
Yep.
Great buy.
Only one more to talk about if you want to do with that one, Ben.
Yeah, Nat Butcher, 68 in pure base. Great player. I think it was pretty much just the Warriors hounding that edge all day. And, like, they just went at him and the half and just back to back to back. And 68 in base is just absolutely outstanding almost. But Victor Radley eventually going to come back. Look, Supercoach-wise, great player. But I don't know if I'd be buying him. I don't know about you lads. But look, he looked rock solid. If he ever gets a try, he's going to be on for some big points.
Yeah, well, my thoughts on Butcher are he's 424K, very similar to a lot of those other mid-range options. Radley's not back for, I think it was...
Round 7.
Round 7.
Yeah,
so it's like 5 weeks that he can cook for. I think for someone like, there's a couple other players we'll talk about later, Colhoun or some people around that point who didn't have as good weeks. Only 100K up to go for an 80-minute edge-back rower who definitely has try-scoring threat, like 100% does. Incredibly solid in base, and is pretty much locked in for an 80-minute role, I reckon, for the next 5 weeks.
Yeah,
I don't know if Wong's going to take that spot.
It was very interesting to see, like, Wong obviously dropped off the bench, if I'm correct. Is that right?
Ooh, I can't remember now. You
I
say
think it was a late pull-out. I could be wrong.
No, Wong played 38 minutes.
That's right. But I think
that was in the middle, though.
Yeah, it was just through the middle. That's right. I saw the bench and thought, Butcher's definitely not playing 80. But, yeah, look, I was quite impressed that he didn't steal any minutes. They obviously didn't play too many minutes with Blake Steep or Benani. Or Benaya, is it? Sorry, yeah. Benaya. So look, I think there's minutes up for grab there, and he might be the man to take it.
Yeah.
Personally, if I'm looking at Butcher as an option, I'm just kind of worried about that forward pack. It could be anything. I feel like Robbo could just wake up and just have a random idea and just do something random with Connor Watson, or just completely change the minutes or put Wong on the edge. I just don't think there's much solidity in there at all, and that is probably more or less a vibe thing. But Supercoach, I like to say, is about 20% vibes. So personally, I'd stay away. But
I think that's
if you want to give it a rock solid option, yeah, give it a go.
Oh, I think if you're going for him, he's a punt.
I don't think you're very wrong at all for that. Faketi with 13 minutes. I don't think that's going to be a weekly thing. They're going to waste a bench spot on 13 minutes. Obviously, no Spencer Lee new as well, so dropped out late. Yeah. That's who I was thinking of. I couldn't remember who I remember dropping out, but whether that sort of shifts the dynamic a bit and maybe that means Wong plays on an edge, I don't know. I think you would definitely want to wait one more week at least to watch him, but could be a good option if Wong does continue to play through the middle, or even if Butcher shifts to the middle.
Yep. Anyone else from that game?
I was just going to say it was funny that I saw Lee News switch from the bench to the starting side an hour and a half before kickoff, and then he just pulled out anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was pretty funny because I think Nap White went to lock and then he just went back to front row.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Good stuff, Spencer.
The mental games.
Yeah.
Righto. Penrith defeat the Broncos 26-0. A very sad Friday evening for the three of us as all Broncos fans.
Yep.
And honestly, not the best for the relevant Supercoach players either. Nathan Cleary to start off with 65. In what was a pretty dominant showing, really didn't do that much. Only 1 assist, kicked his 5 goals, 27 in base and 8 in power. A solid performance, you're not mad about it. But considering it was a pretty high captaincy option, really underwhelming from a dominant display.
There was just no Supercoach points in this game. To put this in perspective, you compare, prime example would be the Manly versus Raiders game.
Yep.
So both teams scored a similar amount of points, like 28 and 29 versus 26. So pretty much all the same. There was abundance of points in that game, but not in the Broncos Panthers. I think that was just down to errors. There was no work out of the back because they couldn't work to a kick. The middles just rotated in ways that I didn't think I'd ever expect. Didn't think I'd see Yo go off. Thought Carrigan would play more minutes than Haas. Bunch of other weird stuff like that. The top score being Jenkins as well. Like, that's cool if a winger scores that, but there was no one really up there with him in points, at least. I think, if I'm correct, it was like Jenkins, and then I think Cleary and Yo were like 2 and 3 or 3 and 4.
No, Edwards, because Edwards got a good score as well.
That's right. So maybe it was 3 and 4 I saw with 65 and
62.
So really just no points in the game at all.
Yeah.
I guess Jenkins did get those 2 tries, so that obviously bumped him up above the rest. But I do have to echo your sentiments there. Yeah, definitely not a huge amount of Supercoach points flowing there. I also noticed that Yo came off around, I'm going to want to say, the high 60-minute mark. And then I don't think he came back on.
Played 64 minutes.
It was actually, he came off about 50-minute mark and then went back on about the 65th minute mark, but played through the middle at the end. So Cogger shifted into the lock role and he played as a prop.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So, I guess we know him as an 80-minute player, but I'm sure that'll just increase into the season.
Carrigan and him, I wouldn't be too worried. They did a lot of work in the first half, tackles, runs, things like that. So I'd expect a bounce that game. I think there's a chance he'll just go back to playing 80 minutes. I'm not too worried, but was definitely interesting to see something new.
Yep. An impressive game from Edwards, 85. Did his thing, getting a lot of base and power, 44 in base and 18 in power, and then got that try and that line break to support it. Is another one that really not overly affected by the new the new stat system, by just being like a bit of a nut trucker, or he's going to get through a lot of work. It's going to pop up every now and then for a bit of a try. I was pretty impressed by Edwards, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think I've had much to add to that. He was just rock solid as always. Got the try. Probably going to get a try or try assist most games, similar to a lot of the other fullbacks. So, if that's his flaw, then probably a pretty good option. I just think, again, I'm just echoing my points every time I hear a fullback that does well. I think there's just better options for the same price, if not cheaper.
Yeah, completely fair enough. The only point I'd add to that is He did well in a Supercoach point, but from an NRL standpoint, I thought he was pretty poor. Like, he stunted their attack pretty not greatly. Like, I think he had a couple errors there. Just looked a bit shaky there. Yeah, I think he might have had a couple, two drop balls or something, and then had a hand in another dubious call that kind of went his way. But I just thought he looked pretty clunky out there. But if that's what he's going to do, look clunky and then accumulate Supercoach points, the fullback is not dead, I guess.
That's it.
Anyway.
Only other Penrith player who wants to have a crack at talking about McLean.
I'll take this one.
Ouch.
Yeah, I was very disappointed. 38 it was, and with a try, so 21 points. You know, obviously it's a few more, but he gets some minuses and some pluses. I don't know, it just did not look like he wanted the ball that much. Granted, they didn't get to a kick very much, but he just didn't go looking for the work like I sort of expected he would. I don't know. I'm still going to hold him, but definitely some red flags there for me. Bit of a disappointing performance. I hope he bounces back. I don't know myself how I feel, whether he's going to bounce back or not. But obviously he was already quite highly priced coming into this season. The late pullout from Tungo sort of shifted everything around a little bit, but hopefully To'o makes his way back onto that left wing, and then when the teams they verse, the quality drops a little bit, then hopefully they just pound that left edge all day.
Yeah.
Well, I saw on Instagram that Tungo was just dropped, I think. Like, I'm not sure if he was even injured. He just didn't play.
It feels so weird. He was named on Teamless Tuesday.
Yeah. Pretty confusing of a decision from Ivan.
Yeah.
But we're at the ground watching that the McLean try go down. Obviously, Jenkins went up and batted it back. I thought he batted it back to Blaze DeLungy. And then I saw it was Jenkins and my heart dropped and I was like, oh, bloody hell. But yeah, obviously as an avid non-owner, that was a bit of a sad time for me. But then I guess the only shining light walking back through Caxton Street was seeing him on 40. And obviously you two own him, so.
Yeah. Oh, well, plenty of weeks left. All right, I think that's Penrith done. Elliot Drinkle, tell me about Payne Haas.
Oh, yeah. I was a bit disappointed, actually. I saw a couple stats saying that in 70-something plus minute performances, maybe 75 minutes or something like that, performances, his lowest score since 2020 is equal to his 60, or it was 67 before updates, obviously 68 now. But so his second lowest score since 2020 in 70-something plus minute games was pretty disgusting, to be honest. But it didn't seem like, from an NRL point of view, just a viewer of the game, like he was doing anything bad as such. And obviously, Payne Haas is a bit of a victim to his own success in the sense that 68 is a relatively outrageous score.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was the most popular captaincy option for a reason, and I guess let us down in that point.
Pretty much. Don't have much to say about many more of the Broncos, to be honest.
Just circling back to the no points in the game, I don't think I really saw Middles break tackles, offload very much. Like, he just didn't really, I think he didn't have too much power. I could be wrong in saying that, but 58 in base, I typically expect Payne Haas to go sort of 2 points in base to 1 in power, sort of around that 15-20 mark for the power. Was probably a bit unders on that. Also just did not take as many hit-ups. A lot of sets was just like, backs in, and then we'd get to like third tackle and drop the ball, and then Payne Haas wouldn't get a chance to run the ball. Same with Carrigan. Point. So, look, I think he'll bounce back. I'll probably just keep the captain's armband on him regardless. So yeah,
same.
Reece Walsh, Ben.
Well, as a non-owner, I was pretty happy. Scary non-players to have. First week of Supercoach, if he explodes, then you're taking a little step back off the beginning, but. Again, there's people out there now that had him, and I'm quite grateful they did because it's going to give me an early boost on them. Popular VC option, which was interesting to me because I thought Payne Haas or Cleary were the easiest captains of the week, so I don't know why he'd VC in that game, but each their own, I guess. And honestly, most of the people that did that probably captain Hines, so good on them because they got a mini win, but yeah, just didn't really look like he wanted to do anything. He was clunky. Wasn't great with the tried a 40-20 and kicked it straight into Payne Haas. Don't know what he was doing, but you know what? He's going to drop a fair bit of money now, and I'm quite happy that that's the case, and I'll probably bring him in eventually.
Yep. Yeah, on that, give us an early little insight to your trade plans come round 3 or 4 or whatever it is. Are you still weighing it up? How are you going to make that work with Ponga looking good, Sewer looking good, relatively good? And then obviously Reece there, how are you going to make that all fit, you reckon?
So it will probably be a premium centre wing, a cheapy centre wing, which may be Chester, who is currently at my fullback, and Patrick Carrigan, if he continues to play poorly, down to maybe Noah Martin or maybe Ryan Catchman, depending who gets more minutes in that spot. And then probably Ponga and Reese if he drops a lot. If not, if Reese doesn't drop a lot, Turbo. I'm looking at that. Maybe back to triple fullback when there's so many great options there. But again, I've only seen 1 week of footy. That's just an early guide. Me and Dan were talking beforehand. I think week 3 is probably a good place to use a boost instead of wasting a trade this week. Just see what people are like, because Ponga could go out there and drop 30, and I probably won't trade him in. But if he goes out there and gets another 60 to 80 or more, then I think you probably want to have him.
Yep. Awesome. Cool. I think that's the Broncos done. Sharks versus Titans. An absolute slapping at, what's the stadium called?
Ocean Protect Stadium.
Ocean Protect Stadium. One of the greats. Almost has got as much aura as Suncorp Stadium. Pretty close.
Almost.
All right. Halves.
Sorry to interrupt you, halves. I was laughing the whole game because even the commentators couldn't say it. Probably they just kept going back to Shark Park. So
yeah.
For an icon, Shark Park, I don't think anyone's going to be wasting their time saying Ocean Protect, unfortunately.
Keeps it simple. Sharks halves, both over 130. Completely dominant showings from Trindle and Hines. Both got 2 tries. Trindle with a bunch of assists. Hines with a bunch of goals and a bunch of other things around the place to get him up there. Very impressive from both the halves. Trindle only costs like 400 and something K as well as a 5'8". So a frankly ridiculous performance from him. The Titans were absolutely terrible. They're not going to verse the Titans every single week, but stunning performances from both. And if you owned either of them, you're loving life.
I'm just laughing because our advice was to steer clear because we didn't know who was going to be the dominant half each week. Turns out it's just both of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, bald-headed Trindle steered the boys around. Looked pretty hot.
What
at the
a
start.
side that was as well. Sorry.
And then, yeah, it was nice. It was nice, wasn't it?
Oh, that's gonna have to get cut.
That's all right. That'll be an easy cut. Or a bleep. So leave the viewers guessing what I said there. But yeah, Nico kind of came home, wet sails or wet hair if you want to put it. But yeah, I know it's a touchy subject, Dan. Kind of.
That's all right.
Yeah,
that's all right.
It's all good.
I guess for me, that makes it 3 games in a row that both of them have scored against the Titans. There's clearly a bit of favoritism with them versus the Titans and scoring tries. Look, 130 is absolutely amazing, but Trindle had a field day. I think that was probably the best performance from a 5'8" of the entire round by a fair bit. Cody Walker obviously looked good today, but Trindle played out of his skin. He was just involved in everything. Kind of a new dynamic. They looked like they linked well, the two of them. But it does also mean that the points might be more 50-50. So when they only score 20 or less, then probably not going to be the Nico we know and love who was getting all the points.
Very fair.
Look, if Trindle had got that in round 2, everyone probably would have considered it because he's going to go up so much with 130 in his books. But 1 week of a price rise with 130 and some tougher opponents up next, I don't think you probably want him. Maybe you do. Maybe you want to give him a go. I probably just don't have the faith in him that some people may.
Yep. All right, Jesse Ramian. Very impressive performance from Jesse. The Sharks' right side is the real big story, I think, coming out this round. It looked like, we all thought that the left side would continue to be their dominant side like last year. And it was all the right. The ball didn't even get to Stone Street on the attacking wing for basically the entire game. 115 for Ramian, 2 tries, 1 assist, 2 line breaks, but then also 41 in base and 10 in power. So he basically made his price in base power. So even if he doesn't get that attacking returns every single game, just hit his break even in rock solid base and power.
Yeah, it looks like they opted to kick to Sione Katoa a lot more than they maybe did last year. He looked good out of his own end. He ran hard. Obviously, the power is probably there, which is probably a bit of an up from last year. Fair few tackle breaks, things like that. And then obviously 2 tries. If he's having a field day on top of that sort of base, you're obviously going to push that 100-plus range. He looked at goods. He ran over some big bodies to get his 2 tries. So I was quite impressed. Just not sure on him yet. I probably wouldn't chase the points now and trade him in. If you had him, fair play. Like, that was a great pickup. I know Dan had him in his team forever, so to give him credit where credit's due, little bit unfortunate that he didn't stick with him in the end.
It's all good. Any more thoughts on any more Sharks players?
Nah, not really for me.
I think they were considering how many points they scored, really didn't have many standout performances.
Colquhoun, lads.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on him myself. Probably didn't play the minute role we thought he might. I don't think any of us went for him in the end, but I know there was a lot of Supercoach owners out there that did. He looked good, but didn't really run the ball all too much. Made a fair few tackles, but I don't know. I was pretty content with the avoid on that one.
Yeah, 47 minutes from Colquhoun, just not enough minutes. And I agree, he kind of looked invisible on the field.
Yeah.
So pretty happy we'll swerve that. All right, the Titans. Very bad showing. A couple people to talk about, though. Arama Howe just looked pretty solid. 43 in base, 8 in power, and he got that cheeky little line break assist. Definitely could have had 1 or 2 tries as well. Pretty impressive from Arama Howe. A little bit of a dual position guy who we'll see what happens with Patson, but could have a big minute role. I think he's worth a look if you don't already have him.
I think I'm going to nickname him Superman, the way he flew straight over those 2 tries that he could have scored. But look, if we ignore the fact that his hands went wayward when trying to put the ball over the line, he actually played really well. I was checking in on him. I know Dad and myself obviously watch the games together. And yeah, look, I didn't think he was racking them up that fast. I think he was about 20 odd at half time and then just sort of turned it up a bit at second half. But if his absolute base is going to be like that high, so 43 base and 8 power, he's going to be great because all it takes is 1 try and he's up to 70 odd. So probably a strong play if the Titans have a good matchup.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. Do you want to have a go then, Elliot? I don't think anything more needs to be said on the Arama Howe. Do you want to go on Faimani? Pretty solid game from Faimani.
Solid game. Got the 1 try, 1 line break, obviously. Then obviously the 23 in base. Solid showing from Faimani. I don't think any cheapy CTW bottomed out at all this week compared to last year. I think there was a couple bum performances from, obviously, your Tom Duffy's. He's not CTW, but Purdue and whatnot had a bit of a slow start. But I think all the CTWs this year are going pretty well. But Faimani, obviously massive dude. I think he's just going to accumulate. And, that's about it. I guess I think he'll keep jagging tries every couple of matches. But, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Just to add on there, sorry. A lot of errors in the high ball. So if they fix that up, there's going to be a lot of base points out of his end as well. So a little bit underwhelming. Should have probably been a 70 if the Titans played a bit better. But look, 54, I'm quite happy with that. They didn't really favour a side particularly. I think they ran Beau Fermor a lot, but they didn't really shift to the wings because they couldn't control the ball enough at times. But when JC comes back, I reckon it'll be a great option.
Cool.
How did Ilias go out there? I didn't get to catch much of this game.
Nothing special, to be honest. Nothing special.
Honestly, yeah.
He is not a threat to like honestly, when the game started, I was like, if Ilias plays well enough here, he could jag himself a starting role. That will not be happening.
Yeah. He, from someone who I thought is a field general more than Jaden Campbell, someone who controls the flow of play, didn't really do that.
No control out there.
They just looked like headless chooks at times. And just too many errors from people you don't expect it from either as well. Tino with a couple, a lot of the outside backs made a couple of errors and the halves as well. So, yeah, a little bit disappointing.
Yep.
Awesome.
I think that's all for the Titans Sharks game.
Moving on.
Raiders Manly. What a pretty stunning game in the end. Very weird back and forth of Manly being on top, then the Raiders smashing them, Manly coming back, but the Raiders falling over the line in the end. Thanks in massive part to Noah Martin. Massive 118 from Noah Martin, if you're going to go in more detail, Elliot.
I'll get the emotional point out of the way first. I feel like if you went Noah Martin, you've pretty much just made the wrong decision. Obviously, there's a minute split. That's the problem with the Storm players. So obviously, there's the lay ban. Like, he might not be great. Arama Howe might not be great. Pastor might come back. But if you've gone Noah Martin with Matty Nicholson coming back from reserve grade, well, now he has the shoulder injury, obviously, but was coming back from in reserve grade. That's just the wrong decision. Like, he's not probably going to be on the bench. It's going to be a bit trappy, AE nightmare. But it worked out for you. And I know Rugby League Guru, I'm looking at you right now. He played him. Sad times for us. Looking at you playing him there, it feels like you're a genius, and obviously we worship you a bit there. But yeah, Noah Martin, obviously the 2 tries, the 2 line break assists, but the 60 in base is pretty unreal. Looks like he might lock down that role. Obviously, a couple of weeks to give him a look or one more week at least before his price rise to see if Sasangi comes off the bench, when Timoko comes back into the centre role there. See what they do there. Obviously, minutes could be down with Sasangi coming off the bench there, but he looks like such an attacking threat, and I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up in a high-minute role there with Ricky and the presser kind of just pretty keen on the bloke, saying he's finally got his chance. So
yeah, fair enough. Do you want to give us a go on Sanders, Ben?
Yeah, look, I'm going to start this. Just say it's a little disappointing when you pay up for Nathan Cleary and he gets outscored by a 250k bloke.
Yeah.
But he looked the goods. He was controlling the game quite well. I was thoroughly impressed. Obviously, I was big on Sanders over Atkinson, and I'm very grateful I was. The goal kicking's a huge plus, but he just looked really good out there. He looked like he had a good read of the game. He was kind of unlocking Strange in their side a lot, which I think resulted in them scoring a bunch of tries on that side. Xavier Savage and Noel Martin, I believe, scoring 4 out of their 5 tries. And then obviously KO Weeks was the other one. Oh,
I'm not sure how you say it, but no matter.
But yeah, I think that was down to Sanders. Sanders was like basically playing the Nathan.
Oh, Sanders got the other try.
That's right. Yeah. I literally
That's
am looking
a bit of a shocker, that one.
Bit of a shocker from us. But yeah, he was looking like Nathan Cleary the way he was sort of shifting from side to side, controlling the game, taking it down his side where he could. I guess the only downside is Hudson Young from that. Hudson Young had to go to the other side of the field to go looking for the ball. We'll lead into him in a second, but his one assist came from a kick on the other side of the field. So I don't really know what was going on there, but look, Sanders looked good, and he unlocked that right edge, which was awesome.
Yeah, just quickly on Sanders as well. He did look great, but only 22 in base. If we pretend he gets, let's be generous and say 3 goals each week, that's about a 34 baseline. So if there is a game where he doesn't get any attacking stats, it's not going to feel as genius.
Like away at
New Zealand. I wonder when he
week.
plays that game. Next week. So that'll be a real test for him to see how he goes. And yeah, as Ben said, Hudson Young, I think it was a very un-Hudson Young-like game.
That's crazy.
So many kicks. Like, he got a kick for his try assist. He forced a dropout.
So many being 2, but for a back rower,
2 is
so
a lot.
Many, yeah.
I wonder if it just being like a bit of a young halves pairing, Hudson Young thought, I'm just gonna do this. I'm a senior player. I'm gonna do what I want. But he was very good. 57 in base, just nice and big as always, and 18 in power. It comes at a hefty price tag, but it looks like another big year for Huddy Young.
I think it's similar to the Aaron Clark eye test I said earlier, where if for whatever reason one of these players ever has a head, like a Cat 1 head knock and gets an 8 and goes down $1 million, like, you jump on them.
Yep.
I think they're great players to watch for now. They're just doing what they're doing. If you have him, good on you. Like, he just did what he should do there. But yeah, didn't really reinvent the wheel other than those 2 kicks for me.
Yep. Alrighty, kick us off with Manly, Elliot.
Turbo. Classic Turbo. I think I cannot remember the player that came out and said it. Oh, Hamole it was.
Oh, yeah.
Said that Turbo's had the best preseason he's had since he's been at the club, and bit of a full stop into 2021 Turbo vibes. He kind of touted there, which is quite ominous if you want to draw back to his form rolling into that final series. But 104 from Turbo. Obviously the 1 try, 2 assists, 1 line break, 1 line break assist, and then the 32 base. So obviously attacking beast Turbo, we know. Obviously in the wet as well. So I don't know, take of it what you will, lads. But what do you reckon?
If he can keep his body right, he looked really good.
He looked
and
good.
I know Dan agrees with me in that. He did look really good. He went looking for the ball. He wasn't afraid to run the ball, take the line on, and even out of his end, like, he took a fair few carries out of his end, which I don't always see from Turbo. Looked like a great player. I was quite impressed.
Yep. He basically, if for Jamal Fogarty coming in means that Turbo is now going to be like the guy, like everything is through him, I think you're going to have to own him eventually.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be that. Tolu Kola, very good game as well. A pretty impressive game in base as well. 40 in base and 20 in power from Kola, which is what you'd love to see. And then supported by a try, a couple of line breaks, and a line break assist. He's going to continue to be a dominant threat on that left edge. I think I might have actually flagged him as a little bit of a pod when I was talking about the centers in a couple episodes back. If Cola's going to keep that kind of pace of having a floor of 50 to 60 plus attacking output, I think it's going to be great, especially since Turbo, I think you would agree with me saying Turbo would prefer to swing left than to swing right?
Yes,
Yeah. So if that's going to happen, I think Cole's going to explode.
I think for me, the only thing is that the Raiders should not have let Manly score that many tries. Manly probably had control of the game for 25 minutes for the full game, which was pretty much the first 20 minutes where the Raiders played the ball in the opposition half once, and then a 5 to 10 minute towards the end of the game, in the literal last 10 minutes. Other than that, the Raiders looked on top, or it was 50-50. So really, if we're looking at it, I think the Raiders were on top for at least 40. There was about 25 minutes of 50-50, and then there was 15, 20 minutes of Manly brilliance. Look, Kohler and Turbo looked great. I just fear there's going to be a point in the season where they might fall apart. They didn't look particularly amazing for the whole game, just looked good for patches.
Yep. A couple of the guys to talk about, Paseka and Simpkin. They were popular-ish kind of guys around those cheaper mid-range kind of points. Pretty good from both. Paseka with a really good 63 and 55 minutes with just a lot of base and power. And Simpkin played the 80 as we thought he might, and all of his points in base. I think a couple negatives because he scored 59, but 61 was in base. Yeah, right. So a couple errors in there. But pretty good showings from both of them.
Yeah, cool. Is anyone considering a flip to Simpkin at all, or is it just Brandon Smith or hold Reid Marnie?
I think you hold at this stage, unless Marnie has a particularly hectically bad performance next time. I don't think there's enough of a jump.
Yeah, cool.
Just to reiterate the point around that, I absolutely agree with Dan's point, and my reasoning behind this is 2 runs out of dummy half in wet weather conditions for Simpkin. That's the day to take it on. But to his credit, he made 63 tackles. So
that's all he's going to be.
He's going to make 1 million tackles. He's going to go up a bit, but I don't think he has that attacking ceiling that Reid Marnie has. So, yeah.
Yep. Coolio. Last game of the round. Elliot, you get to have your moment. 104 for Cody Walker.
Oh, yes.
Walk us through
it. Just a Cody Walker field day out. Obviously got the 104, the 2 assists for forced dropouts, which is pretty nice in the wet, obviously. 3 line break assists, and then the first 40-20 of his career I heard just before turning on this recording. However, he also had a try disallowed where he went blindside, literally just grabbed it to himself, grabbed it, and then just scored in the corner. So, yeah, that would have been nice if that was added onto there. I probably would have beaten everyone here this week. But, what's half a centimetre,
Well...
Anyway, no, it was quite nice to reap those rewards there. I've been pretty keen on Walker. Obviously, just the question will be whether he can keep it up for the season. And then I'm sure Dan will be trading him in by a week, probably next week actually.
Sorry.
No.
Fair play to him. He absolutely played incredibly well. But at the same point, that's kind of the where I'm coming from, or I'm gonna, maybe you can call this cope. But this is where I'm gonna come from in terms of, if there's ever a game where he doesn't explode like this, he's going to get basically nothing. He's got no base. Did I say his base before? He got like 12 tackles and like 3 points in runs or something like that.
6 points, 3 runs, I think it was. So
something along those, whatever it was, I'm like, oh, it's a bit of a red flag. So yes, he's a creative player. That's how he's going to get his points. That's a valid point. But 4 forced dropouts and a 40-20, which he's never kicked in his career before. Like, those points could easily disappear another week and he could get more like a 40. Which is still not terrible, but I think I'd have to be pretty compelled by something else to bring him in.
Yeah. Honestly, if you're looking for a 5/8 one, I think Trindle looked better, and he's only 40k extra.
I would agree.
I think Trindle's probably more consistent in a all-round better team, not by much, but I would say the Sharks are probably a better team. And more consistent. Even in games they lose, they tend to score 20 to 30 points most of the time. The Sharks, that is.
Yeah.
Look, he looked really good, Cody Walker. I'll give credit where credit's due, but 104 feels like the max he's ever going to get.
I kind of agree.
Yeah. Maybe if he gets the try, but I think there was other things that went right for him in that game that maybe shouldn't have. So, yeah.
Cool.
I think my major rebuttal to that is it's Cody Walker's team. Like, is Ashton Ward or Jamie Humphries really going to take away many of the direction there or the dominance in calling the plays up against obviously the Trindle versus Hines debate that we've been going on about. Obviously, we said that like both of them were the answer when we thought whose team it's going to be week to week. It's 50 points against the Titans. That's not going to happen every week. 1 week it's going to be Ninko's team. 1 week it's going to be Trindle's team. Likely. Obviously, it might not be, but that's kind of the sample size we have. And I just think Cody Walker has more of a control on the Bunnies, especially on that left side and where he's kind of positioned there with the attacking threats there. I think he's better option than Trindle, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Well, I'm going to actually flow into my next player and kind of add on to what you're saying. I actually think this is Latrell Mitchell's team.
Yeah, I agree.
I understand it's a bit of a weird thing to say because he's in the center, but my God, he was absolutely dominant. Every time he got the ball, he created something. There was one stage where he had like 2 defenders on him and he somehow busted through him and he went for a flick pass and Johnston just wasn't ready for it just because I just don't think he thought he was going to get the ball to flick to him. Latrell was incredible. I'll absolutely fall on my sword. He was a pretty much must-have to start the season the entire time. Like, he didn't even benefit from the new stat system. He just scored 2 tries and kicked 6 goals, and that was basically it. If you didn't start with Latrell, you will absolutely be scrambling to bring him in probably either this week or next week.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, look, I tend to agree with your point about it being Latrell's team. Walker will have some control on the game, but I think they're just going to start dishing early ball eventually. They're just going to learn that if they get the ball to Fafita or Latrell Mitchell early, then that's just going to win them games. And if Walker keeps getting those try assists by doing that, then so be it. But I think he was quite lucky to escape with one of the Latrell assists. So, yeah.
Cool. Keon. Who wants to have a stab at Keon?
Yeah, I'll take it. Great to have him in our consensus team.
Oh, boy.
Just a monster again. 71 minutes. Obviously, the loss of Jai Arrow before the season was huge, and that's nerve damage, so that'll probably be a fair while. He looked the one to stand up. Obviously, him and Murray just played so many minutes together, like 69 and 71 respectively. That means combined with the other 4 interchanges they used, like 4 other players through the middle, they played
much less.
100 minutes altogether. Damn, that took me forever to work that math out. But yeah, 100 minutes between the other 4 players. So they together played more minutes than anyone else on the team, which is just pretty incredible. Looked like a monster. 8 points in power. I think that could easily be more in other weeks. 67 points in base in a game that was 70 points was scored is pretty solid crack. Looked for work. Took a lot of hit ups, like a hell of a lot of hit ups. I was thoroughly impressed at that. And yeah, just an all round great performance from him.
Yep. We've kind of already talked about Cameron Murray then as well. Same kind of thing. Very similar to Keon. High base, high power, looked very good. Lots of third man tackles, which I think is something, new scoring system, he's going to be a big benefiter of. Elliot, do you want to talk to us about David Fafita?
Yeah, obviously the 68 points from David Fafita, the 1 assist and line break in that same play. 46 in base, obviously got sent for that sin bin. So I think that's fairly strong. And yeah, there's a reason why he's the number 1 most owned second rower. Yeah. Because obviously you got Pezzett there. But yeah, I just thought eye test, he looked pretty good. I think, are they getting him in good attacking position? It feels like they just give the ball a hospital pass to Dave Fafita and just want him to do something.
Yeah, you are right. There wasn't a lot of like lead runs, I'm going to put you in a hole. Like Bo Firma was getting a hell of a lot of that. Not much of that for Fafita at all, which if anything, it means if they do start doing that, he's going to go up even more. So, but yeah, you are right. It was a lot of either dump unders and just kind of see if he's going to bust through guys, which he really didn't, apart from that one try. Or, that was pretty much it. Not a lot of attacking line running.
I think for him, it's just going to be almost like a truck, like a third middle to get them up the field because they do lack that third ball running middle. Murray and Keon, obviously strong options, but no one else can play.
You say that. Tafita's Atola had a really good game.
Yeah. Maybe it's 4th. But yeah, either way, they're just going to use him as a truck to get up the field because he's just such a consistent ball runner. Yeah, look, I think if they start using him the way we kind of want them to use him, he'll be great.
Yep. Cool. I think that's all the bunnies done. Herbie Farmworth. Now, I ended up being the only one to start with Herbie. I understood your guys' points. Very expensive. A pretty rock-solid day from Herbie. 42 in base, 12 in power, just continuing with that floor. Like, I just don't see any world Herbie goes under 50 this season. And they got a nice little try to top it off as well to take him to a rock-solid 75 to start the year. I thought in the game in which the Dolphins were pretty unimpressive, they were still going left a fair bit. Like, Herbie's going to be a key part of that attack. Loads of busting, loads of offloading. I think he's still the same Herbie as last year from what I saw.
Because my point and just to reiterate why I didn't go with him in the first place, he got 75 at the try. It's not particularly impressive. It's good for any centre wing, but he is the Herbie Farnworth. He is the man with spider webs all over him. Like, players cannot stop him for whatever reason. Look, I think it's a play by us to avoid him for the first 4 weeks, but I did like what I saw again from him. He is just a great player and like always will be a very, very, probably the premium centre wing option. Yeah, I don't know. I was quite happy that I didn't have him. I was a bit disappointed when he got that try late in the game. But, yeah, look, he looks solid. I just think there's a world he will drop a bit of money before round 3 or 4.
Yep. Want to bring it home with Flegler?
Yeah, sure. Thought it was a bit of an underwhelming sort of stint from Flegler. Maybe not necessarily from the points base, but just like the minutes he got. We all saw him get that 10 jumper into the starting side and thought he would be like way better than or play more minutes than he did, I guess. And I guess that's a little bit of a worry. It's a bit disappointing, probably more than it is a worry. I'd say he's going to get increased minutes as the season goes through, as we kind of predicted in the off-season. But yeah, I think that's just life. I will probably avoid. I did play him this week. I'll probably avoid playing him in the future.
Yeah.
Until we see that minutes increase. But it's going to happen. It's not really if it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yep. Very fair. I think that's all for all the games, boys. I think that's us down for our recap of the round that was.
Fantastic.
Easy. We'll move into the awards now, I guess, if that's
Definitely.
everyone's happy to quickly do that one.
Yep.
Awesome. So
We're just going to run, again, for those who missed last week, we're just going to quickly run through some awards for the week. These will also be posted on our Instagram, and we're just going to we'll talk through a little bit about what the award means as well for those who are still getting used to it.
all right, perfect. So similar to last week, the first award of this week is our best on ground, which just goes to the highest scoring Supercoach player of the week. And this week, Dan, who was it?
Braden Trindle, 132, narrowly beating out Tanner Boyd and Hines, both on 131. We've already talked about Trindle. Incredibly impressive, well-rounded performance against a rubbish Titans side. So well done, Trindle.
Elliot, if you want to take us through the Money Well Spent award for the best popular buy of the week.
Yeah, so that's just Latrell, who we thought he was going to be, I guess. Just money well spent, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you finish on, 113?
Yeah,
Pretty
113.
good start.
2 tries, like that's pretty impressive. A lot of people, you look at Jenkins, 2 tries, 97 or whatever.
Yeah.
It was. So yeah, went above and beyond.
Very nice.
Fool's Gold Award for the worst popular buy of the week. Daniel.
Reece Walsh. We've already talked about this ad nauseum as well. Really didn't get going in that Broncos attack. If you've bought him, you're in trouble in terms of you massively overpaid for a guy who's going to tank in cash. So you're either going to have to trade him in round 3 to avoid that, or he'll be like 500k sooner rather than later.
Shout out Timmy Williams, eh?
Shout out Timmy Williams.
I think he brought him in quite late into Friday night and then made a whole reel about it, dedicated to it. And, got clowned on by Guru the next day. So, yeah.
Big yikes.
The We Trusted You Award for the biggest captaincy underperformance.
Yeah, so I guess that just goes to Payne Haas, right? Most owned captain, and obviously his second lowest score since 2020 in 70-plus minutes. So, yeah, Payne Haas.
68 being an underperformer for Payne Haas.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But
It's very fair, though.
to be honest, when all the captains performed this week, which they did, and a lot of people VC looping great options, there's no one else really to give it to, as sad as it is. Like 68's still good.
I remember we were all talking about it, and I think we said, do you see any world in which Haas goes below 75? And Ben said no. And he got 68.
Which you two were in agreement.
Which we were in agreement of. So, yeah, unheard of.
The next award for the Hall of Shame award for the most disappointing player of the week.
Oh, dear. Jacob Laban. If you are one of the whatever percentage, I think it's fairly high.
Yeah.
That started with Laban. You look like you're going to be in big trouble, especially given the fact Halasima scored when he came on. He could be out of that side like that any second.
Very, very true. The Budget Bandit award for the best player under 350k.
Noah Martin. So obviously on that right edge, did fantastic things. I'm still a bit mad about it because to me it's the wrong play, but worked out for you, and it's going to work out for you in a couple of weeks. So.
Yeah.
Just to go back to that as well, what's even annoying is that on top of people bringing in a player who was only going to play 1 week, people started the player that was only going to play 1 week
Craziness.
in an untested edge. So couldn't believe it personally, but you know what? Good on you. Hats off.
That's life.
You're out geniused us.
Well done.
And then the final award is just our out of nowhere award for sort of a breakout player or someone who we didn't expect to do what they'd do.
Yeah. Tanner Boyd. I don't think he'll be jumping into many teams anytime soon, but a very weirdly impressive performance for someone who's really not considered to be an elite half. So fair enough, Tanner.
Hats off to him, honestly. Played really well. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I didn't see it coming. You could have asked me a million names on who would be the breakout player of round one. Would not have been him.
Yeah.
Turns out you can take the Titans out of the Boyd. All right.
Lovely. On that note, I think that does us for this episode today. Thank you for watching, guys. I'm not good at sign-offs. Who wants to sign off?
No, you're fine. I can jump in here.
Lovely,
for you.
mate.
Yeah, obviously we say it every time, but jump over to the Insta. We have some cool content going out there this week. A few more reels and stuff to freshen it up a bit from just pure stats, but obviously check on there for our trades of the week and our tips from the round. You can see how badly we thought the games would differ, and yeah. Look, I think I'm just going to preemptively say it. Hats off to Dan, who I believe won the week in the tipping. Apparently we're specialists in Supercoach, but not tipping. So
I am. One tipping and the Supercoach week.
Yeah. We'll see. Won't last too long. So.
I was only a Cody Walker shoelace off winning, so it's all good.
Lovely.
But
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Have a good
guys.
week.